Wow. Wow. This chapter of Shingeki no Kyojin, or Attack on Titan. So many questions answered, and so much meaning behind this chapter. Like, to see the development of Kenny, Levi, and getting some background information on the previous king and stuff like that. Wow, just like, wow. This certainly was one of the best chapters I've seen in recent months of Attack on Titan. Like, this chapter, straight up, the characterization, development, and progression with Levi as a character, it's incredible. It really is when it comes to this chapter. Like, oh my god. This right here, this was a very stunning chapter. I did not expect to see this chapter focus on Kenny, his backstory, his motivation, finding out his decisions in life, what led him up to doing what he was doing for the entirety of this arc, and then his conclusion to his character, the final bow tie to his character. To see how the ending was done of this chapter, obvious foreshadowing is obvious about Levi eventually using that Titan serum to turn into a Titan to probably either protect his loved ones or do something else. That obvious foreshadowing is very obvious, but the way it was done, damn, this was a very impactful chapter of Attack on Titan. Like, I have to say, I really respect this chapter, just answering these questions that we've all had for these past couple of months, to see how we finally found out that Kenny was the uncle of Levi. That was some stunning information. You had to know they were related, yes, but to see how he was kind of a father figure or an uncle, he was an uncle to Levi, that was startling news to see. I mean, to see how he passed on, he gave the Titan serum to Levi. It was very sad and tragic, because Levi, through majority of the series, he's been alone. He's been alone by himself. You know, he's tried to have family and friends, but he's kind of always, you know, been alone. And to see how he finally finds out he has a family, like, you know, a family still around him, and they die like that in front of him, that's very tragic. It was, especially that final panel of this chapter when you see him smile. That has so much weight to Levi as a character, and I love the progression with his character. That one smile when you see him, like, very sad, and he's like, thanks guys, that right there, man, just, man, you don't expect something like that at all, really, from Levi as a character. To see how he did that, startling revelations. So, what this chapter really stood for was to finally answer Kenny as a character, like why he did what he did, why he killed people, why he was working with the king, and why, you know, he left Levi when he was young. We finally figured this out. So, to get into specific details, the chapter starts off with Kenny pissed off. He's really sad, upset, and he wants to get revenge against the king after, you know, suppressing his family, you know, the Ackerman's family, and killing them off and torturing them over the years. And so you had to where Kenny wanted to get revenge against the king, and which eventually led up to where Kenny, he gave up his chance of vengeance because he started respecting the previous king, because he had this atmosphere and aura about him that drug him in to want to follow him. And so Kenny was taken back through the entirety of his life, through the journey of his life. He was constantly looking at this king and his, you know, his objective, his goal, what he was trying to accomplish, and he was mesmerized by this king, and that's what led him to follow this person. And eventually, throughout his life, he started questioning, like, if I had that power, would I be the same way? Would I act the same way? And that's what eventually led him to do what he did with Rod Reese. You know, when he mentioned, like, oh, I can't use this power and stuff, you know, the Titan power, and have it for my own. That right there just goes to show you how he is as a person. And then also the ending conclusion of how he gives the Titan serum to Levi, that has a lot of weight to his character after what we saw in this chapter. Now, say what you will, you could say that the development of Kenny was forced on top of us with this chapter, and there wasn't much to his character besides this chapter. But to see how this was done, the writing of this was pretty damn good. It really was when it came to the setup for this very moment throughout this entire arc. And I don't feel like this could have been done any better. It really couldn't have, with the weight it actually carries over to our characters. Now, seeing also Historia become queen in this chapter. Like, all hell, Queen Historia. She is now queen, and to see her in the robe, like the dress and stuff, it looks very weird on someone that's been battle-worn like Historia that we've constantly seen in the Survey Corps' uniform. It just looks very weird seeing her in this queen attire. It's so unsettling seeing something like that, so it's going to take a while to get used to that. But to see how she's a queen, she's finally queen, and she's going to be, you know, using her rule to change the kingdom and stuff like that, I can't wait to see what she is going to do. But overall, when it came to this chapter of Shingeki no Kyojin, I feel like this is one of the best chapters in about a year. Like, I've loved a lot of these chapters of Attack on Titan. Some of them have been trollish when it comes to certain things. I've talked about it before. But when it comes to the way this chapter was done, the way it was perceived to me as a reader of the series, a long-time reader of this series, and the way the artwork was done with the paneling and the way the development was done, I feel like this is one of my favorite chapters in the past year. It clearly is. Like, it's going to be hard to beat this chapter for the rest of the year. The way this was done, it really is going to be damn hard. So what do you feel like is going to happen with, you know, Levi having this Titan Serum? Do you feel like he's going to eventually use it? Which is very obvious. One day he's going to use it, because that wouldn't be placed there if he wasn't going to use it. The question is, when will he use it? What for? What will he use it for? And when he does, will that be the end of him as a person? And will he cease to be human? He'll just be a Titan and then eventually get killed by his very friends and family. So yeah, a lot of questions. Overall, couldn't ask for a better chapter of Attack on Titan. I really couldn't. Majority of us probably couldn't ask for a better chapter. Like, this is the Attack on Titan I know and love, like the way this was done. So tell me your thoughts. You all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.